The Chief of Defense Staff today says attackers of our Catholic Church in Ondo State have been arrested, and Governor Akeredolu also gives more details on the latest development. Getting more assurances about security as far as 2023 election is concerned. The Army is promising that elections will hold in 2023 in spite of security challenges confronting the nation. I want to thank everyone for joining in tonight. This is Politics Today, live on Channels Television. I'm Sean Kimale in Abuja. Let's get to it, everyone. So much to talk about today. So much news are coming in, and we're going to sit on them and chew them as much as we can. So we keep tabs on the ASUU strike as we continue our countdown over the strike action by the university lecturers, which has entered day 178. Since university lecturers in federal universities in the country began their strike action, keeping students away from the classrooms, the standoff between the federal government and the university lecturers continue, and the students continue to be idle. President Buhari is giving a 2 weeks ultimatum, which expired at the end of last week, for the Minister of Education to ensure that the issues are resolved. Nigerians are now looking forward to the stakeholders getting their acts together to resolve what has become a national embarrassment. Before we get into our major stories tonight, let's tell you what President Buhari said today. He's given assurances that he's still focused on delivering on mandate of governance. He said this today when he met with members of the defunct Congress for Progressive Change CPC. He told the political leaders to remain united, focused, and patriotic. He reminds the group that the mandate of improving the livelihoods of Nigerians, which was a premise upon which APC was founded, remains sacrosanct.
It is on record that the defunct CPC is adequately represented in the Federal Executive Council through the Attorney General of the Federation and Minister of Justice, Ministry of Water Resources, Humanitarian Affairs, Agriculture, Aviation, and both state and principal ministers of education, among others. The above cabinet positions are in addition to several other appointments of defunct CPC members into headship and board membership of departments and agencies of the federal government. As to the role of your bloc in the current political dispensation toward the 2023 presidential elections, I hereby direct that your forum should work with the ministers mentioned above in order to fashion out a workable program for participating in the upcoming election.
All right, then President Muhammadu Buhari speaking with members of the defunct CPC. Of course, you remember that it was from that group that merged with the ACN of the defunct ACN and some members of the PDP, popularly tagged then as the new PDP, part of APGA led by Senator Rochas Okorocha. Well, that seems to be in history now. Now, before we get to know what exactly happened in Owo, how those who were apprehended for that attack was arrested, we'd like to give you a sense of what is happening across the nation in some of your political stories we're following for you on our political roundup.
Cross River State Governor Professor Ben Ayade is calling for collective effort of political office holders to improve the country and change its laws for a better functioning nation. Governor Ayade made the call in Calabar during a reception held in honor of Justice Emmanuel Akumaye, who has just been elevated to Justice of the Supreme Court.
Those of us who are in power, we are not there because we are the best, but because I think God has just elected us to be able to be of service to mankind. Let us improve this country. Let us change the laws of this country.
Some youths of the All Progressives Congress in the Abuja Municipal Area Council today staged a peaceful protest against the Minister of the Federal Capital Territory, Mr. Mohammed Bello, for not swearing in the candidate of the All Progressives Congress, Mr. Murtala Karashi, despite being ordered by the court to do so.
There is a court order which was instructing the INEC to withdraw and to issue a certificate. There was the same court order also give directive to the Honorable Minister of the Federal Capital Territory.
APC stakeholders from the north have stormed the Unity Fountain in Abuja, demanding an immediate review of the choice of Senator Bola Tinubu and Senator Kashim Shettima as the presidential and vice presidential candidate of the party. The protesters who marched from the Unity Fountain to the National Assembly denounced the appointment of Governor Simon Lalong as the Director General of the APC Presidential Campaign Council, insisting that the North Central region deserves the position of the vice presidential candidate.
Give us vice presidential candidates and take the Director General APC presidential campaign.
And the ongoing feud between supporters of Mr. Sheriff Oberewori and David Edevie, who were both contestants for the Delta State governorship candidate, is far from over, as dozens of protesters stormed the PDP headquarters in Abuja, demanding the expulsion of Mr. Edevie from the PDP. The protesters, who displayed placards with inscriptions pledging their support for the candidacy of Mr. Sheriff Oberewori, warned the PDP against substituting the name of Mr. Oberewori or risk losing the state to the All Progressives Congress in 2023. Meanwhile, the National Publicity Secretary of the PDP is asking both parties to remain calm and united as the matter is before the court, assuring them that the PDP is ready to follow the rule of law.
We are a law-abiding party. We respect court, we respect court orders, and we act on them.
Well, let's attend to some businesses before we get into our main business for tonight. There have been speculations about the status of Senator Godswill Akpabio and Senator Ahmed Lawan, the Senate President, and their role, or whether or not they will be able to participate in the 2023 elections as candidates. There are reports and allegations that the Independent National Electoral Commission, INEC, has doctored, backdated, and certified documents to accommodate the nominations emanating from Yobe North and Akwa Ibom Northwest Senatorial District in respect of Senators Ahmed Lawan and Godswill Akpabio, and it says there is no truth in all of those. The Commission, in a statement today, says, quote, "For the record, the Commission has not recognized any of the two personalities and a senatorial candidate." Well, some good news as far as fight against terror is concerned. Today, some sort of news filtering on the attackers of the Owo Church in Ondo State. The suspected attackers of the St. Francis Catholic Church in Owo, Ondo State, have been arrested. The Chief of Defense Staff, General Lucky Rabo, disclosed this at a parley with executives and editors of media organizations in Nigeria held at the Defense Headquarters in Abuja. He said the suspects were apprehended during a joint operation involving the military, the Department of State Services, and other security agencies. Meanwhile, General Irabo was also giving some assurances, but let's take a listen to General Irabo's statement on the war attack.
To very heartwarmingly present to you that we've done quite a lot, and it's my pleasure to also let you know now, starting with the church attack, we have arrested those behind that dastardly act. It was my intention to present them to the public, but of course, because of certain, investigations were still carried out, I had to, on the last count, changed my mind in that. Otherwise, I would have brought them here for you to see them. And I'd like to say that in due course, you will see them. Not just those ones, but of course those who have been at the heart of very daring attacks, those who have turned themselves to men of evil to put our nation under the kind of desperation that we've had in the past few months.
Well, that's General Lucky about the Chief of Defense Staff giving some news about the arrest made on the Owo attack. Meanwhile, the Ondo State Governor, Governor Rotimi Akeredolu, has confirmed the arrest of the 5 suspected attackers of St. Francis Catholic Church in the Owo area of Ondo State. The governor's confirmation comes shortly after the Chief of Defense Staff, General Lucky Rabo, made the announcement in Abuja. The church came under attack on Sunday, June the 5th, while worshippers were observing Mass. The incident left at least 40 people killed and several others injured. He said that the state government did not spare a moment in trailing the terrorists since the horrendous attacks on innocent worshippers at the St. Francis Catholic Church, Owo.
5 of them have been arrested now. And
apologies for the bad vision there, but we'll bring you back the visuals, the soundbite of Governor Akeredolu on that attack. So now, the nation is battling a series of insecurity challenges at different ends and at different fronts. And so the news of these arrests means a lot. It means a lot in the sense that the nation is preparing for an election. And in the midst of that, people are being killed in some part of the Northwest. There are some attacks that have been reported in the Southwest region of the country. Now, Southwest governors are also thinking about how they need to secure their own region. But what does this really mean as far as counterinsurgency and the ability of the security agencies to hold onto Nigeria's territory and fend it off from these terrible and terrorist elements? Let's get the conversation started. First, let's start talking with a former commissioner of police in Lagos State, Mr. Fatai Owusheni, who joins us virtually. Thank you so much, Mr. Owusheni, for your time tonight. Give us a sense of what this means generally to the security architecture, not only in the Southwest. We drill down on what it means for the Southwest region, but for the nation at large, in terms of repelling attacks or trying to trail attackers. What does this mean?
I would say that the information that has just been given by the Chief of Defense Staff is a welcome development. When it comes to security, crime and criminality, the first thing is to be proactive, prevent. And when you are able to prevent, to make sure that you go after whoever that must have violated the law, to send a message that if you do it, we'll get you, and we'll get you prosecuted, and we'll make you to face the music. So that is why I said it's a welcome development. By and large, it also shows that with all the pressure that is being put by Nigerians, that our security operatives and the security agencies are living up to the task of the obligation that is given to them. It's not as if they've not been doing that before. Arrests have been made. What needs to follow is that it doesn't just end on making an arrest. It has to be followed through, that they are successfully prosecuted, just like we had in the case of the killing, the gruesome murder of the Afenifere leader. That it was done timely, suspects were arrested, they've been made to face the music, they've been sentenced to death. So we need to follow through with this. And of course, we should now strengthen our proactiveness. It's been said several times, the security agencies, all the the heads should now know that at this period, they shouldn't work in silos. They must coordinate, they must harmonize, they must have a joint briefing room, and they should also know that the situation we find ourselves now, when you are fighting this kind of crimes and criminalities, domestic terrorism with element of external support, that you need the people. We must win the heart and mind of the people. We must, in our proactiveness, integrate the community, the non-state actors. In as much as technology will play a very big role, do we have a platform to support the technology we're having? So we must be looking at how to support the technology and, of course, factor human intelligence. There is no criminal that can be bigger than the community. We must leverage, optimize the capacity of the non-state actors, the well-meaning people of the community. For every criminal to strike in any place like Power, they must have been in the community. We must awaken the consciousness of the people. We must enlighten them. We must tell the people that they cannot stand aloof when things are happening. So how to now develop an architecture, get a framework to properly integrate the non-state actors, the neighborhood voluntary group to our architecture will be very useful. They will supply they will fill in the gap of supplying the local intelligence, and that will strengthen whatever we are doing. If we don't have the community, it is Robert Pell that said that the people are the police are the people. And once you get in and factor in the element of the community, of the grassroots, and everybody living up to its expectations, the civic obligation, I think we'll be closing the gap that we have. And of course, getting all our security agencies to work together. Nobody needs to outshine each other. Everybody is working for a common purpose. Rushing to even give information out, we shouldn't do that. We must canalize the information, we must get intelligence, and everybody should stick to his obligations as per the Constitution. Once we do that, I think we can overcome. I strongly believe that these fellows cannot, it's not as if they have the capacity that the security agencies don't. This country have the capacity.
So, just for a moment, I like engineers to tweak the audio so that it can be better. I'm not sure we are getting the best out of the audio coming from your end, but we'll try to work on it. Stay with me, Mr. Wosheni. Let me come to our Abuja studio, where I'm since being joined by Dr. Ahmed Yunus, a member of the House of Representatives Committee on Defense. Thank you so much, Honorable. It's good to have you back in the studio today. And the last time we were discussing the security situation in the country. Now it seems some kind of good news on the arrest. But let's take it from this point. Gombe, today, the governor held a security summit, launched what they call Operation Hatara. I don't know what that means in Hausa language. The governor of Ondo State, immediately after that attack, few days later, is ordered every public and private institution in the state to install CCTV. The governor of Lagos State, the governor of Ogun State, the governor of Oyo State, every governor is making initiative just to protect their own territory. It's come to the point that everyone, all man for himself, and each governor now are taking measures to protect their own territory. For what we saw today in the CDS statement and what the governor of Ondo State has also confirmed that those guys were arrested. How does that come to you on the background of what I've just laid, what governors are doing?
Well, good evening, viewers, and thank you, Seun. You see, what these governors, just like you enumerated, are doing they are now owning up to their responsibility. They are the chief security officer of their respective disconfederating unit that make up Nigeria. Next online is that security ought to have been everybody's business, not just the federal government. Having said that now the governors have only to themselves, just like my governor, that have just launched this Operation Hattara. Hattara means it's just like be careful, careful or be on alert. You know, just like in the scout motto will be prepared, something like that. So Gombe have witnessed relative security, but with the advent of some pocket of some disturbances, I think my governor felt it and deemed it fit to have launched this operation by calling on each individual of the state to share intelligence and then making the security apparatus there to own up. Just last week, he visited the, I think, Chief of Air, Chief of Air Staff and Chief of Defense. My governor visited them just to eschew this cooperation. Kudos to Akeredolu that immediately after the war attack, I think the Amotekum on up, and with the good news we had today, that 5 or even more among the attackers were apprehended. You see, when we are talking of all this general situation, trying to juxtapose it vis-a-vis the general election that we are approaching, one might say, with this kind of a sporadic intervention by the state governors, it could also do us well that the local government are also engaged with the collaborative effort, with what the federal government put in place. These two, the local government and the state government, will act as a collaborator. They will collaborate what it is, what the federal government is already doing. Thirdly, considering the fact that the general elections are coming, are going to take place simultaneously, probably, I don't want to be on air and exploring the strategy of the security agencies, but suffice to say that the security agencies should take advantage of the simultaneous nature of the election, and that the miscreant, call it bandit, call it terrorist, might not be all over the place, so that they can concentrate their searchlight and their beam on concentrated areas.
That's actually part of our conversation tonight, and that's probably the reason why we invited the national chairman of IPAC, Alhaji Yabagi Sani, tonight, who since joined us in the studio, because the military giving assurances, and come what may, election will hold in this country. We will listen to that soundbite much later. But before I bring in Alhaji Abagisani into the conversation on what happened today, the success of getting these people arrested, and you know why this is good news for a layman like me. I imagine that if these guys were arrested, you'll be able to extract some kind of intelligence from them to be able to mark down their collaborators and their funders and all of that. That is my thinking. But let me allow you to listen to what Governor Akeredolu said. He gave some details on those who are involved. In fact, the house that harbored these people and what he's been able to do. It does look to me that, in fact, this information has been with government for some time until they are able to process it. But let's take a listen to Governor Akeredolu.
5 of them have been arrested now, and some of them were said to be the real ones that came. And the home where they lodged, before the attack, the person who housed them has also been arrested. From Abuja, from here, to their cell in Kogi, Kineanko, to make this arrest. And so they are there.
Now you heard. I don't know if Mr. Osheni is still with us, but this is some good news as far as it's concerned. You remember, Alhaji Yabagi, that Governor Akeredolu says they will train them, they will catch up with them, they will get them. And it does look to me that these are some strong words that have come to fruition. What is your initial reaction, or what's your take on what you see the first time you heard about this?
Well, it's an anticlimax. Believe me, it's an anticlimax in this country, because one would have thought that the same kind of pronouncements that federal government now, usually make would have also resulted in some, results, arrests, telling us who are behind these people. If that has happened or had happened all along, perhaps we will not be talking about Ondo. But because some school of thought believes that, the military or the government, unfortunately, from what is happening, is complicit. And you wouldn't find reasons to say they are not, because why would it be? Why has it taken us so long? To the extent that the seat of power, has to be attacked before the military can now move to say that, okay, they now pursue them to their hideouts and then they killed our 30 or something like that. Why should it take that long? Why should it get to that level? So, and I mean, for wanting of really something to really, say, in order to dispel people who are saying that government is complicit, look at what is happening today in Katsina. Katsina has become the epicenter of all this attack. I mean, how do you explain that? The state of Mr. President himself. And we have not heard of, a situation where attack takes place and then they said, okay, we have now found the hideout of these people and we have exterminated them, that it will not happen again. Each time these things happen, the federal government I'm talking about now, not the state government. The state government, like El Rufai in Kaduna State, has been lamenting. The one in Borno State also has been lamenting. Most of the governors in the north have been lamenting. Why can't the federal government use that, resources at their disposal to exterminate these people?
I mean, I mentioned earlier, now Gombe State has launched Operation Hatara. There is the Amotekun in the southwest region.
Yes.
Recently, the governor of Benue State, Samuel Autumn, launched the security outfit, the local security outfit for Benue State, and a few days after, he proposed and wrote a letter of request to President Buhari, asking that these guys can carry arms and ammunition to be able to fight. It does look like Honorable said it, that the state governors need to be the real chief security of their state.
Yeah, they are the chief security of their state, but the constitution of this country must have some ground conditions, that made us to believe.
Is the constitution giving them, making them handicapped?
No. What happens is this:
is it not allowing the governors to play their roles?
No, you have for the internal security, you have the police, isn't it? The commissioner of police in each place, who administratively are responsible to the governors of that state, but functionally they are responsible to the IG here, And then for a country like Nigeria, given other problems that we have of unity, of some people taking laws into their hand, politically and otherwise, perhaps that may be a suitable system that will add to the bond, to unite the country, so that will be a corporate entity called Nigeria, and then people can live in peace wherever you are. You won't think because I'm a Yoruba man, if I'm living in Hausa land, it may be the governor there or something, or if I belong to a different political party, I may not be protected. So I think for a country like Nigeria, it perhaps it makes sense. But today, you have the center that is so weak that people are now beginning to question even those settled issues in this country. Issue of security in this country has been settled in a manner that will continue to keep us, as a united nation, united country, where you can, like I said, you can live wherever you are. But today, because of the weakness of the standard that's supposed to supervise these security arrangements as enshrined in the Constitution, people are now forced, because they said necessity is the mother of invention, now are looking for ways by which they can protect themselves. Where is the federation we're talking about? Where is the federal government that we're talking about? That's why I say it's
maybe the situation is also challenging the country, the people now,
That's what I'm saying.
Rethink how the structure is in the sense of the legal construct of this country. Is that what is happening?
Outside the Constitution, that the Constitution, as we have it, you know, the basis for the Constitution.
Can we bring in extra constitutional measures here?
It's already happening. It's already happening. That's what Akerolodu of Ondo did not use the federal system. You know, the police or something like that. They must have used, you know, that Amotekun and all these things outside the government.
But the CDS said that it was a joint operation by the military, the DSS, and the police.
Yes, for the official cover.
Let me allow
but the actual operation, I'm sure, must have been led by people that have the interests of that state, you know, at heart.
And come back into the fray. What do you think?
Well, the issue is, I have to dub my hat for my colleague here in the studio and people who think along that line. But let me tell you, my experience as a lawmaker and having been serving in the Defense Committee, discussing the security issue, let me tell you that the laws have adequate provision. The issue is implementing those laws. The Constitution has even allowed, if the country is in this kind of precarious situation security-wise, to even invoke retired soldiers, personnel, to even be brought back into the service. So for us to say we are limited by the Constitution is an understatement. But yes, I will allude to the fact that the instrumentality has not been deployed fully or is not being used. Why? It's because of the leaders that we put in place. Again, we can go further. We have said this severally, that look at the security architect. Until recently, when I think I was the one that made the first outburst here, that there are Judas among the security personnel. And it was on this channel. The kudos got to them. I air it. And immediately, I think the security hate or whatever, put things in place to start filtering the bad eggs. There are so many of them, I cannot come into the air, that they were punished, and that is why we are now seeing the necessary successes. Recently, we attended a seminar whereby the security apparatus, I don't want to mention name, there is a drone now that is being manufactured by a Nigerian that can detect the hideout of these criminals. Right. And I think by using that, they are now reaching them to their den. All right. Let me check it back a little. You remember when we are clamoring for
just a moment, please, because we're due for a break. We'll take a break, everyone. But when we come back, there is a line of thought I would like us to talk. And I would love us all, this is like a town hall, to reason in this direction. Now, there is a similarity, I don't know if you have seen it, everyone, wherever you may be watching, between the Kuje attack on the correctional facility and the Owo attack. I will bring out the similarities between both and see whether or not we are closer to getting those guys who attacked Kuje Correctional Facility, and perhaps also delve into the matters of the security of the 2023 elections. The military is giving us assurances, but can we hold on to those assurances? We'll delve into that when we come back, everyone. Stay with me. We'll be right back. Thank you so much, everyone, for staying with us on the program. Tonight, we have a panel of very beautiful-minded young men. I use those words with some level of figure of speech there. Beautiful-minded young men. Well, some of them are elderly men, anyways. From Ibadan, virtually, is Mr. Fatai Owosheni. He's advisor to the governor there on security and a former commissioner of police who's been talking to us virtually. And here in our Abuja studio is the national chairman and, of course, the presidential candidate of his party, Alhaji Yabaji Sani. And also with me is Honorable Ahmed Abubakar Yunusa. He's a member of the Defense Committee in the House of Representatives. Thank you so much, gentlemen, for coming tonight. So, I mean, I've been told that there are classification of age categories in this country. There is the young people, the youth, the older people, and there's what they call the elders, and the old people. So I know some of you have crept into the elder bracket. So that's why I tried to rephrase the way I'm at when I say young people. I just drew it back that I may be the young person I missed you, but there are some elders in the room. Thank you so much. I'd like you to land on the thought before I go to Mr. Wosheni, because to Mr. Wosheni, I would love to know how far we can go based on the request of the Benue State Governor, and perhaps in the wake of what we have seen so far, what we can make of it. Let me allow you to land. You were on a certain thought earlier before we went on that break.
Yeah, well, just before that, let me just allude to the fact that we can be described as young old men.
if not because of your hats, the gray hair would have been absolutely exposed, but you can look young, at least for now, until you remove the hat.
So, like I was saying, I'm making a point is that we really have adequate provision of our laws. One, we have limitation of personnel. The police, when you take the international record, that how many policemen that will police certain category of people in Nigeria, taking into consideration our population, the police are grossly inadequate. Somebody will say, why can't you employ? There is a deliberate mechanism put in place that every 6 months the police recruit. There was this issue of power between the Police Service Commission and the Commissioner of Police and the IG. Who does the recruitment? I remember about 2 years or so, that thing lingered in court to the extent that the subsequent batches were really not recruited. Having said that, even those ones that are being recruited, we go to that issue that, yes, this is presidential candidate Oyabagi, the chairman of IPAC, then you must get my kit, my district head, my village head, my emir must give this, you know, son of the so-called silver spooners. So you discover that the recruitment is not even based on merit. It's not based on credentials. It's not based on scholarship. So most people that are even
nepotism,
whatever, give credence to all this, the tenet of the ethics of the job. So you discover that the people recruited into the security agencies ended up to be criminals themselves. So they compromise information. They even arrange with the thief to come and, I mean, we have all these sort of stories which have been proven. So the system, those that are in the system need to be sanitized. We emphasize that one. Every year budget, we emphasize the sanitation of the security personnel. And when next recruiting, we should be very, very pertinent about that.
Let me bring back Mr. Faustin Owosheni. And I was going to, earlier on, before we went on that break, I was saying that there is a connect between the Kuje prison attack, at least from our own critical point of view, and this is the connection. I'd like you to break it down for us. From the report that we got from Eyewitness, the attackers came on motorbikes on the 2 occasions. They came on motorbikes and they left after the attacks on motorbikes. Now, there is an inference that we can take, perhaps, that can give us an insight into what could happen in the Kuje attack. The prison attack came after the Owo attack, so maybe there are some work. There's some work that is going on in the background that we do not know. Now, what has happened in Owo is that there are local conspirators, which the governor has said that those who housed the attackers have also been arrested, and they have been linked to some part of the north-central region of the country. Now, that is some level of intelligence. With this connect, what do you think that we could be happy about as citizens of Nigeria, then maybe there is some synergy coming into play as far as the security agencies are concerned. Because a major flaw that has been pointed out by experts is that there is no synergy. There is no concurrence in the way and manner they manage intelligence.
That is the essence of what is called crime mapping, crime analysis, and setting up a modus operandi unit where all these things can be put together. If we have a proper and effective crime laboratory, this is where synergy comes in. Yes, for criminals, there may be connect, but how are we using the information that we are getting from these fellows? If we don't stop operating in silos, we will be losing vital information. These people have been arrested. It has been said that some people house them, and that is why we're talking of awareness of the members of the public. If you remember, when we had that robbery in the bank in Okeo, some people also housed them. The people came in from Kogi. Some people housed them within the community. So what I would expect our security chiefs to be doing now, I had mentioned it before. In those days, we had a federal joint operations room. We have collaboration. So that must be strengthened so that when you get all these suspects together, you'll be able to do a proper debriefing, share information, and that is where you can connect the dots. That I'm not too sure the agencies are doing very well now. So that has to be put in place now, have a proper crime laboratory where all these things can be put together, and you can now see the linkage and get, go after all these people, because criminals display the same characters. If they are not the same, you'll find out that the modus are the same. Then when you go to the correctional facilities, how much of intelligence do we have within the correctional facilities? This is a country where some detectives in those days will volunteer to be among the criminals in the prison, in the cell, without anybody knowing. And of course, they will be getting information from them. I've referred to the Fela expensive sheet before. How did the expensive sheet came about? Detectives were inside Alagmon's cell where Fela, may so rest in peace, was detained. And while he was saying that, oh, I will not cheat for 1 week, they won't be able to get evidence. Detectives were capturing all this information. When Fela and Anikulapo eventually cheat, detectives went to pack that sheet and got the evidence. That is where expensive sheet came about. The distinguished senator had said, oh, we probably don't have enough people to police the country. There's a school of thought that believe that we have enough. It's just that we are not harnessing our resources. It is not the police alone that do the work of crime prevention, detection. If you put the police, the strength of the police together, you put the civil defense, you put the DSS, the military intervention, the respective security units that have been formed by the state, and all other supporting uniform agencies, you'll find out that we are even over-policed. It's because there is no proper synergy. There is no harmonization. We are not harnessing our resources. You just have everyone create a fiefdom, and everyone wants to be heard. Everyone wants to be seen to be the one doing the work, like a high service team. So what's a security chief?
Mr. Awosheni, apologies. Let me cut in quickly. And there is this question I'd like to ask you before I bring the issue of election security. I know, having worked in the Nigerian police, the police have always been criticized that there is that tendency that the police want to take over the civil space as far as policing is concerned. But give us a sense of what you make of Governor Otom's request to the president of asking that a local security network that was established by his government should be allowed to carry arms. Today we've seen Operation Hatara from Gombe. There is Operation Amotekun in the southwest region. There is a neighborhood watch in Lagos. And there are different initiatives by different governors. Now, to properly police the country and gather intelligence, do we need those local networks or security outfits to carry arms, just like Governor of Benue State is requested?
You say, like I had mentioned before, there is nothing wrong with this. You only need to optimize them. Take maximum, benefits of what they can offer. This is not new. Some old people will remember what they called the Daddy's Army after the World War II or so. These are volunteers. Even in the police regulation, as of the time at the early period when we were in the police, we had the special constabularies, permanent secretaries, teachers after closing from work. My first station was in Shagamu in 1985. They will come to the station to come and support us. So citizens and members of the community coming to support security initiative is not new. And I've also mentioned it before. The British Council, through the Justice for All program, developed a framework for the Nigeria police, which is called the voluntary policing sector. And the framework is there. We've been using it. It's because these things are not properly harmonized. With regards to the issue of carrying weapons, it is not just weapon that is used in prevention. Crime prevention, which should be the main thing and the priority, is intelligence. And human intelligence is as vital as using technology. If you have the human intelligence, His Excellency, the governor of Ogun State said, someone housed this element. And that is why they said there is no criminal that can be bigger than the community. So if the one that housed the element he had seen something, if he had said something, they will be able to work on this. Yes, there is the problem of confidence. Oh, we lack confidence in the people. In your state, we are telling our local government chairmen, also create a desk in each local government, so that if people say, oh, we are not too sure of what the DPO will do with our information, so let them come to you as the head of security in your local government. There used to be the police information box in those days. We should do all that. Information can be given without even you knowing who has given the information. And that people must be enlightened that it is not when you give information that something is happening, you go to the beer parlor and you'll be telling people that, oh, that place, they will see what will happen in the night. So all these things work together. Security is the business of everyone. So if we are able to harness everything that we have, I would say that we're actually not under police. If you put all these resources together, you harmonize, you don't work in silos, and everyone respects his callings, not someone want to do the work of the other people. Globally, they would say that the police coordinate internal security, but there are ways that these things are done with nobody showing off superiority over the other person. The security agencies must know that they're working for a common purpose to secure Nigeria and to,
just in a moment.
To prevent crimes and criminalities.
All right, just a moment. There is a part of this conversation I would like us to touch before we close. And it's a part where the Chief of Defense Staff, General Rocky Rabo, was making promises and assurances that 2023 elections is secure and it will hold. Well, let's listen to the CDS, then we'll come back and analyze what he said and in view of what is happening and looking forward to the February and March elections.
We, as members of the armed forces, will have a covenant with the democratic process. And that covenant presupposes that we'll do everything to create the conditions for the free, safe, and secure conduct of the 2023 election. So all the operational engagements that we have been part of is all tailored towards ensuring that the democratic process is not only nurtured, but it's also made to remain solid and undeterred. So I join, to encourage and of course to assure, at least from the bill to sign, that the 2023 general election certainly not only will he hold, we will do everything to ensure that nothing stops it. So that you do not have any fear, and I need you to also escalate that narrative. And this is the reason why we must also call, the political class. We must, call them to account, for them to want to take actions, as we begin to prepare to go into electionary process, for them to take actions that are focused, actions that are objective, that speak to, our moving forward, speak on issues, not issues that are, intended to distract us from embarking on that journey.
Well, this is a part of the program that we'll quickly touch on before we close. You are the IPAC chairman, and there are direct inferences to you and your friends within the political class. Are those assurances enough for you?
Hardly will it be enough, because if we go by the experience we have had of such pronouncements, even at the highest level of governance, when security chiefs are summoned, orders given, and at the end of the day, nothing happened that will give you confidence that, yes, this will really mean what they're saying. The truth of the matter is that we have handed over our resources, our allegiance, to a group of people that you call government. And what the nation expects from them is security of lives and property and welfare. On those two fronts, it's nil. And how can now elections are just by the corner? And look at what is happening. Does it mean that what is happening today, does not matter, that people can be killed anyhow and nothing, and you tell me that the same Nigerians will have the audacity, to come out on elections, or even, people can go on campaign the way you normally do, to travel? Where are you going to use, even if you use aircrafts? Today, they are even attacking, airports. So the nation is not skewed, and we should not.
You don't think we can hold 2023 elections like this?
We hope, and we are working towards. In fact, as political parties, we are having a meeting. We've called a meeting already to tell ourselves that the situation is highly, highly precarious, and we should
start in about a month.
Yes, about a month.
So you don't think that political parties can go on campaigns now with the security?
Sean, can you travel between here, go from here to Kaduna, without you maybe reading Quran or Bible so many times before you get there? And when you get there, your family will ask, everyone will asking you, why in that have you arrived or have not arrived? Or which part of this country can you even feel free to travel to? In the north, I'm talking about. And that's why we are coming to a point, maybe the governors should wake up. Perhaps if what I can do, I'm talking about the Southwest, if what they did, that the northern governors did the same thing at that point in time, perhaps they may not be as devastated, in this attack as they are receiving today. Because what has happened is that the center has failed, and failed woefully. That's what it means. Those who have given their allegiance and trust to the center, look at what is happening to them. Every day you are being overrun. Your people are being killed because you didn't take the action that others have taken. Why is it not happening in the Southwest? When it happened, look at what they have done. Look at what happened in Kuje that you are talking about. Did they even chase them to the city gate? Like I cannot do people that they chased them even to Kogi State and then to Abuja. What did they do? Let them tell us. Before Kuje happened, 40 security reports were given, intelligence reports were given to the president. He refused to do anything. And somebody will come and tell me that something will happen in the elections? How? How can I believe that? Somebody want to dash you clothes? Look at what he's wearing. The clothes the government is wearing is in tatters, as far as security is concerned. They have to change their garment.
All right. We need to close now. Let me allow you 30 seconds, Honorable, so that we can close on this matter.
Well, this is a period of really not lamentation, but worry. But the way I saw a vision and in the dream, that we are about to overcome our challenges. We that are in government, we have tried to provide the legislative framework. We were able to identify the legislative bottleneck, and we have removed it. And that is why you see the latest successes that the security agencies are recording. Now, when they say they are prepared, I think I can believe them, and I can assure Nigerians not to go and sleep, but if prayers can do, consult your miracle, I mean your oracle, to do miracle for us to conduct. But to me, free election, security-wise, is very, very possible come 2023.
Let me allow Mr. Woshoni to give us his own final word on the program just in about 20 to 30 seconds. Where do we go from here?
I believe that the security agencies are equal to the task. They only need to close the gap of synergy that they have. When deployment is being made, they should deploy in a systematic manner where there will not be oversight. What we used to do in those days is that all the agencies that will be involved in election will be at the police station where deployment will be made. If civil defense is deploying on their own, immigration is deploying on their own, you will have overlapping, you will have gaps. And of course, when arrests are made, we must also factor that the supremacy of the rule of law must take its course. They've been going to election tribunal. They would say papers are forged, thugs were arrested, and we would say that the electoral law should be amended all the time. The criminal code punishes some of these offenses. People must be charged for grievous harm. People must be charged for...
Shani, we're totally out of time. But I must sincerely thank you. Yeah, thank you so much, Mr. Woshoni, for your thoughts tonight, and as well as Alhaji Abajisani, the national chairman of IPAC and the presidential candidate of the ADP. Thank you so much for coming. Honorable Yunusa, thank you so much indeed for your time. A member of the Defense Committee in the House of Reps. Well, that's our show today, everyone. Many thanks for watching. I'm sure Kimale. Have a wonderful evening.